All right, welcome into the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Big Joe here with you, Dr. Crane behind the board. Chase McCabe still out, still on his sabbatical. I've got word, though, through a carrier pigeon and an old man at a general store down in Eagleville that Chase may be back tomorrow.
Really?
It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So if he's not back tomorrow, we're going to send out a search party for him.
One of those silver alerts?
No, we're going to do a search party like they did in the movie Perfect Storm when Clooney and Wahlberg get stuck out in the ocean. We're going to do that, or a search party like it will. You ever see the movie Alive?
I don't think so.
About is it the Argentinian soccer team that crashes in the Andes Mountains?
Oh, yes.
And they start cannibalizing each other.
That was on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a true story. So we're going to send that search team out because they ended up finding, well, those guys kind of made their way down the mountain, but we're going to send a search team that was looking for them out to find Chase McCabe.
Okay. Well,
I'm not sure where he is.
I'm sure he's probably listening from somewhere.
I know he went to Machu Picchu. I know he went to Thailand or Cambodia on like a sabbatical, like the Grasshopper. What show was that? Kung Fu. Yeah, with David Carradine. He was a guy in search of his inner self, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I heard Chase was running with the Bulls in Rayon City. So I don't know. So we'll try to make the day without him.
Running with the Bulls. That's pretty.
But at Rayon City, I think it's more like running with like chickens.
Oh, okay.
Because they're none have bulls over there. So we'll find out what Chase is doing today. All right, we got a fun show for you. Our good friend Rudy Kalis is going to join us at 9:30. He's an absolute legend. What Rudy's doing now is amazing. He's with the Men of Valor ministry at the prison, and just hearing his stories, how he's changing lives, how God is changing lives through Rudy and through all the great men who help those other men out there is fantastic. We'll talk to Rudy at 9:30. Now, yesterday we talked about our favorite player, right? So one of my favorite all-time SEC football players is coming on the show at 10 o'clock today. Former Vanderbilt All-American linebacker Chris Gaines is going to join us. I love this man. I love his family. He was a fantastic football player at Vanderbilt. Again, All-American. And just talked about the evolution of football from the linebacker position, which I find fascinating because when he played, I mean, it was like first and second down, run, and they threw the ball. Now it's pass with occasional run and RPOs. It's a whole different brand of football, but it's still fun. So we'll talk to Chris Gaines about that coming up at 10 o'clock today. It's a lot of fun. We'll hear from Greg Sankey, Clark Lee from SEC Media Days as well throughout the show. Tennessee goes today with Josh Heupel at 10:45, I think, is the time he's going to speak. So Willie D. Mace will have that throughout the afternoon as well. Reaction from Josh Heupel. So we had our question of the day. And Dr. Crane, we talked about this.
We did.
Right. So this is coming off the Rex rant this morning with TD and Joe Rexrode. And let's go ahead and say, love both those guys, great writers. I think TD's a fantastic writer, and I follow him. All of his Titan stuff is great. But he had a rant today that really got a lot of people going about pulling over for emergency vehicles. And I was reading the text line. I mean, A, it's the law, right? And B, it's common courtesy that you have to pull over for emergency vehicles. And you guys really weighed in big time. So off of that, here's our question of the day. All right, I want to know our question of the day off of their rant this morning about you pulled over for emergency vehicles. I do, because it's just common courtesy. Do you pull over for funerals? If you're anywhere on the road and a funeral comes by, do you pull over for a funeral? I'm curious. I want to know. 615-737-1025. We will talk a lot of sports today, but we talk a lot of other things as well on the People Show. Do you pull over for funerals? And if you don't, I'm curious why you don't. I never did. I never pulled over funerals until my grandfather's funeral. And seeing all the cars who pulled over, and then I was thinking to myself, Dr. Crane, these people don't know my grandpa. And that's when I first learned about true respect. I think it was 18 years old. And I'm like, my goodness, they don't know who's in that limousine or that hearse, I'm sorry, and they're paying this respect. So, Dr. Crane, what do you do?
I stop and I pull over. I actually turn the radio off whenever there's some sort of, hearse driving by with, people, cars following behind the hearse. But yeah, I usually either veer off to the side of the road, or if I'm at a stoplight, I'm just staying there at the stopped position where I'm at, as long as I'm not in their way.
Okay, that's good. Now, when I worked in TV and I was a marked vehicle,
Mhm.
I did it and I got honked at and yelled at and move on and go on. And I get all that. But it wasn't because, if I'm in a marked car or my own car, I don't care. I'm still pulling over for a funeral. I'm just curious if that's still a thing now, if people still pull over for a funeral, because I do. And if you honk at me, I don't care. I'll wave at you and tell you that I love you, 'cause that seems to inflame people even more. So I'm just curious if you do that. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We're talking a lot of things today as well, but we'll continue on our question, kind of a non-sports question of the day. Clark Lea spoke to SEC Media Days yesterday. Of course, you can hear all the Vanderbilt football games right here on 1025. And that he's got such a daunting task, because outside of that football team, nobody believes that football team could win more than 3 games. Would you hate to go into a season knowing that everybody, it could be a motivating factor, but nobody thinks you can win more than, look, I get 6 games or make a bowl, but nobody thinks you can win more than 3 games. And there's only one way to go out and prove people for that, is to go out and win more than 3 games. So we'll hear from Clark Lea throughout the show today about how things are going over there. And I remember this, but I forgot about this. Clark Lea is running the defense this year. So as a head coach running defense, that's a lot to put forth, going with teams each and every week and still figuring out how to run your team, also doing the defense. So it's a task for Clark Lea, but he's up to it. He is a good defensive coordinator, though. And look, man, we want Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt ran the table, could you imagine if Vanderbilt went 12-0 and got in the college football playoff? That would be fantastic. We would love it. Crazier things have happened, but look, get to a bowl game first and kind of build upon that. But we'll hear from Clark later on, of course, as Greg Sankey as well. All right, I think we've touched a nerve.
We have touched a nerve.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. All right, first call, Steven. Steven, welcome into the Chase and Big Joe show, weighing in on funerals. What's happening, man?
Oh, nothing. Just get my daughter to her autism therapy. How y'all doing?
We're doing well. Do you pull over for funerals?
Well, first off, funny that you mentioned that, because like 5 minutes before you brought up this question, on the road, what's it called? It's a fire truck. Was like a mile behind me, but I could see the lights and the sirens.
Right.
The sirens. So it's like he's literally directly behind me by like a mile, no one between us. And so I just wait till I get to another section of the road where I pull over, and then I just wait for him to come by. And then you ask a question. And then my entire life, when it comes to funeral processions, is if you're on this is just like the way it's always panned out, because no one really ever talks about this, but it's been
correct.
Like everyone on the other side of the road generally stops, because just for the whole, courtesy and respects.
Right.
Because for the emergency vehicles, if you're in the other lane, you can keep going usually. But for funerals, if you're in the same lane, yeah, I would pull over. If you're going in the same direction, let them have the right of way. But wouldn't necessarily get over off the shoulder. Just either stay in front of them if you can't get over, keep going.
Right.
And then get over when you can, just to let them pass. But that's the only time when that I know that at the very least, what makes it different is that if you're on the other side of the road, you stop.
Okay. All right. Well done, Steven. Thanks for taking time to call us, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, let's go to Michael, who's weighing in on funerals. Michael, good morning. Michael, do you pull over for a funeral? I guess you're pulling over now. Michael. All right, we'll move on, Dr. Crane. Let's go to Tim. Tim, good morning. Tim, do you pull over for funerals?
Nope. They're all just hanging up on us there, Jim.
They got nervous. Anyway, keep calling 615-737-1025. Our text line, I can't. I'll try to get as many as I can. Here we go with Kenny Spring Hill. Always do it with the hat off. Joe, next question. You take your hat off for the national anthem ball games? Absolutely. And stand up, hand over my heart all the time. Wes in Clarksville. It's safe. If it's safe to pull over, I do. I've seen a lot of people almost cause wrecks. Yes, Wes, thank you for that. That is also a very good point there. Make sure you can get to the side of the road, clear it, maybe put your hazards on and let people know. That's what I do and do that. But yeah, get to a safe spot if you do that. Look, if you don't pull over, that's fine. I am not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just asking if you do, and if you don't, why not? And if you do, why? Let us know, 615-737-125. I'm going to have a tough time keeping up with these. Kevin, you're a blank. If a funeral procession is coming, I don't give a darn what lane they're in. Pull over and pay your respects. All right, I get that as well. 4819, I pull over for every funeral procession, but I live in small town USA. Lisa from Dixon, thank you for that. 4980, out of respect for the family, yes, I stop for funeral processions. I know Dr. Crane does, and I do, but that's kind of our non-sports question of the day is, do you pull over for funerals? Coming off the Rex rant this morning with Joe and Tehran about pulling over for emergency vehicles, and I do. I mean, I think for one, I'm told it's the law, right? Is that right?
There's like a move over law.
Move
when it
over
comes
law
to
for that,
those
yes.
Emergency vehicles, yes.
And also, if you're late to an event, don't blame emergency vehicles. That's on you. If you're late, like one time a guy got stopped by a motorcycle cop on Bradley Parkway. He's like, I was late for work. That's your fault. That's your fault that you're late for work. It's not the cop's fault. He's doing his job. You're late for work. You should get a double ticket for being stupid and being late to work. There you go. To get all that right there, I feel better now.
And for those people that follow ambulances after they drive by, that is against the law as well.
Right.
That's a felony.
I had a friend do that. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, well, there's no traffic. I'm like, what do you stop doing this?
Yeah, that actually can get you arrested and go to jail for that.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little sports. All right. We'll come back. We'll hear from Clark Lee from SEC Media Days yesterday about taking over the defense and things that are happening over in West End. Of course, Josh Heupel goes today. I think around 10:45 at SEC Media Days. Again, Rudy Kalis going to join us at 10:30. Former Vanderbilt All-American linebacker Chris Gaines will join us at 10. We're off and running today. This is the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. All right, welcome back to the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106 for the game. Brought to you by Omni Nashville Hotel. Make sure you stop by Bar Lines tonight. Songwriters Night, 5:30 at Bar Lines at Omni Nashville Hotel. If you're looking for a nice place to go after happy hour, it's perfect. Bar Lines at Omni Nashville Hotel is a perfect place to be. The food's great. The ambiance is great. The music's great. It's right there looking out on 5th Avenue, John Lewis Way. It's a lot of fun. A lot of good people, so head down to Bar Lines tonight. All right, before we get to the Vanderbilt thing, I didn't mean for this question to blow up. I was just asking if people do this, if you pull over for a funeral procession, and a lot of you guys and girls are weighing in on this. 615-737-1025. Now, 1698 said, and this is fine. If the funeral procession is on the opposite side of the street, I don't stop, but if it's on my side, I do respectfully. And I understand that. There is no right or wrong answer here. I was just curious about what you do and what you don't do. Let's see here. Ron says, that was Ron. 1698 again. That was Ron. This is 1698 says, I pulled over unless there are other people going, then I'll go. Darren and Donaldson, that's fine. Dwight in Kentucky says, I know Toronto, Philadelphia, they throw batteries at Santa, so they're not going to pull over for anybody. That's from Dwight in Kentucky. This came over off Toronto's rant this morning about why people pull over for emergency vehicles and all that stuff. And we've gathered it's the law, and that's fine. Do what you want to, but all that. Ben says, I only pull over if I did not know the person. If I did know them, I'm at the funeral. Ben, that's like Obi-Wan advice today. Thank you. I only pull over if I did not know the person. If I did know them, I'm at the funeral. 615-737-1025. Keep pointing. We'll take one more call on this. Is that okay, Dr. Crane? Let's go to Mark. Mark, good morning. Thanks for calling in. Do you pull over at funerals?
Well, this is a little bit different. This is my grandfather's funeral, and it was on a 4-lane road. And I looked in my mirror. I seen this guy was just coming up behind us, just passing everybody, and kind of made me mad. So when he got next to me, I swear about wrecked him in the ditch and shook my fist at him.
So you almost caused a wreck because, okay, what did he do when you raised your fist at him?
He waited and cut through a couple of cars into the parking lot of a gas station and stayed. I just watched him. He just sit back there.
Atta boy, Mark. Well done there, Mark. Yeah. Mark, what part of Tennessee are you in?
Dixon County.
Dixon County. You know, we call that God's country out there, right?
Yes, sir. We always pull over for funerals. You should have respect. And as far as the move over thing, when the emergency vehicles pull somebody over, they should try to get out of the lanes of traffic if possible.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you see my good friend Luke Combs over there, tell him I said hi.
Hey, Joe, you're the best, man.
I really am. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the call, man.
Thank you.
All right. A little sports now. All right. So SEC Media Days underway. Clark Lee spoke yesterday. Dr. Crane, we'll play this one. You good with this one? We'll play? Okay. Dr. Crane back there. He's got our handsome intern, Colin Kadoof, back there again today.
Currently have misplaced my wallet somewhere in the building, so just trying to find that.
Oh, where do we think it might be?
I don't know. It's like, where's Waldo? It's somewhere.
Look, that should be another question for the day. What's worse, losing your wallet or your phone?
Wallet 100%.
Okay. I mean, it's equally. All right. So yeah, it's tough to concentrate when you don't know where your wallet is. It'll drive you crazy. By the way, hello to our intern Colin back there again today. Another day looking handsome. Must be nice to be that way, young and handsome in the world. All right, Dr. Crane, you cool with this? All right, this is Clark Lee from yesterday talking about taking over the defense. Clark Lee is now the defensive coordinator of Vanderbilt. Here he is talking about taking over the defense.
So, Clark, we know you've always been involved on the defensive side of the ball, but kind of taking full control of that heading into this year. When you look at your defense and the style and just your checklist of things that you want to see happen this year, what does that look like? What do you want kind of the identity, the formula of this defense to be?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is I really haven't been directly involved. You know, I think when Jesse got here, year one, we spent some time on the front end just blending kind of the things that he was bringing from Baltimore with some of the things we did at Notre Dame and talking through kind of what the foundation of the package would look like. But, you know, what I've done in 3 years is I've taken a lot of my time and put it towards trying to get some of the peripheral systems and engines running. And I've needed to do that. That doesn't mean that I haven't, you know, given my opinions or sat in on meetings at times and challenged some of the things we were doing, but it's a much different world when you run the defense versus when you're, you know, kind of managing all three phases. So,
all right, so that's the problem I would have. I'm such a control freak for the most part. If I know my defense, I would find it tough just to hand it over to somebody because I would always be second guessing. What would I do? What would I do? What would I do? But now Clark Lea's taken over the defense. He's a heck of a defensive coordinator. What kind of style, different style will we see this for the defense? I don't know. With that being said, I don't know what the more attacking style or sit back in style. Everybody's running the spread offense. I would just attack. That's how I am. That's how I usually get burned on that. But it's interesting that he wants to take over the defense now, and there's a new offensive coordinator in town, you know, and there's also, from what I've told, 53 new players on this team.
That's what it looks like.
53. So you've got to build chemistry and camaraderie off the field is so important because you only got a limited number of spring practices, which are 20. How much can you build there? How much you teach? And remember the days when you started playing football, you'd go out to your youth football camp and your mom would have to write your name on a Scotch tape or whatever and put it over your helmet so you know who you're talking to. I mean, that's just a daunting task. But this is all these programs. I think MTSU's got over 45 or nearly 50 new players that have come to the squad. And that's kind of the new norm for college football now, is that these guys are going to leave. They're going to move on. And, you know, Jill Jonick and I talked about dynasties no more. I know Joe Rexrow disagrees with us. But no, I mean, if I am at, I don't know, Mississippi State, I'm a hell of a player. And I got Georgia says, hey, come join us. And I don't have a guaranteed spot. I'm not going to Georgia. I'm going to go where I can get the most NIL money. And that might be at Cincinnati. So I do think dynasties are done. I'm poaching your guys. If you got good players, I'm taking your guys.
I think dynasties are not over. I think there's just a new standard for a dynasty. Okay, let me preface something. I'm going to go to college basketball here.
Okay.
Look at Dan Hurley. He's going for 3 national titles. Now, he, you know, had 1 national title before this NIL thing really exploded, 2 under the developing of the NIL.
Okay.
And he's on the cusp of going for a 3rd one.
All right.
And so with that being said, I think he's getting used to all of the NIL maneuvers around the system for the most part. College football, on the other hand, is a different breed.
Yes.
It's going to take a little longer for, I guess you could say, NIL dynasties to kind of, that's how I'm going to phrase it, NIL dynasties to catch a new standard.
All right. What do you consider a dynasty?
A team that wins 5 or more championships in a row.
So there's been no dynasty in college football ever.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about championships solely, I think 5 is the way to go.
Okay. See,
if we're going like dynasty wise, as in like winning longevity dynasty, we're going. You're a contender every year.
I say 3 and 5 years. Now, college basketball is a different breed because it's one and done, and you can't really build. Football, you can build that, and it goes on, and
right.
We can join a team for a year and go, and you're the pros, whatever. So it's just different to me. So 3 and 5 years to me is a dynasty, right?
Wait a minute.
So,
did I say 5 championships in 5 years?
Yes.
I did. I meant what you said, 3 by 5. Excuse me.
Thank
you.
That's all right, man.
Brains over.
I know, because your wallet's gone.
Yeah, I am kind of frantically looking around my shoulder for that. Right
okay. Now. Have you checked
check the first studio, second studio, it's just not there. I don't know.
Did you have the intern? Now you came to my desk, you showed me your little video game thing.
Yeah, wasn't there. I went over your little
okay.
Wasn't there.
All right.
I don't know.
Have you checked the intern's pocket?
I know, this Steeler over here.
Perhaps.
Can you unload your pockets real quick?
His handsomeness might overtake
He's
how
clear.
Okay,
He's good.
All right. He's a good kid.
He has a brown wallet, but it's not my brown
because
wallet.
if you're that handsome, you don't need to be a thief. That's right. He's got the Kadoof gene. That's why what's working so good with him right there. I think 3 and 5 years is a dynasty, right? So Bama got a dynasty. Clemson came, but I don't think we're going to see that run of, NFL Super Bowl. There's never been 3 Super Bowl winners in a row, ever. That's why the Chiefs are going for that this year. That's kind of the eyes on football. Is if they can win 3 Super Bowls to build that dynasty. The Patriots had a dynasty because they won so many, and you had X number of years to do that. That's why to me, college football is not going to have that anymore. It's so
Mm.
difficult to win that. And with the guys transferring left and right, you're gone. I mean, I'm telling you, if Nico has a great year and I find out they're paying him $1 million and I'm at, I don't know, Auburn, and
Yeah.
I can offer him $4 million, why is he going to stay at Tennessee? I'm going after him. That's the rule. That's the game, how it's played now. I'm going after your guy. I'm
Yeah.
winning now, not 2 years down the road. Now you get my heart rate up.
I'm sorry.
Your wallet's missing. It's just, we got funeral procession, nobody pulling over. I mean, it's just, we got to make this a good day. You know, we're going to make this a good day because of our next guest.
And who is that, Jim?
Our next guest is a guy that I absolutely love, Rudy Kalis, longtime legendary sportscaster at Channel 4 here in town. He's doing a thing now called Men of Valor. He's got a golf tournament coming up next week. We will talk to the longtime sports icon next, right here. This is, do we have something to read?
We do. Yes.
Take it, pal.
Thank you, sir. We're broadcasting today from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And the Chase and Big Joe show is sponsored by Omni Nashville
All right, welcome back to the Chase and Big Joe show right here, 102.5, 106 through the game, brought to you by Omni Nashville Hotel. Again, too, about the big event happening at Barlines tonight, Omni Nashville Hotel. If this bar could talk, songs and stories from Barlines, a big songwriter night, a lot of fun. 5:30 to 8, it's free at Barlines. Down at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Stop by tonight and have a good time. Colton Armstrong, James Gregory, Paige Penny, Callie Young, among others, going to be down there if this bar could talk. Barlines, 5:30 tonight at the Omni Nashville Hotel. And you found your wallet, Nick.
You won't believe where it was at.
It was in your pocket.
No, it's on the ground right behind me. I don't know how I missed it.
You feel better?
A little bit, yeah, a lot better actually.
All right, well,
it's fell in my pocket.
Good. Well done. Well, going to make us all feel better now is our next guest on the show is a guy that I think the world of, and he's an absolute legend. He joins us now. The great, the talented, the wonderful Rudy Kalis joins us. Rudy, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I like all those things you said.
I still get asked about you all the time. I'm sure when you go out and about, people talk to you. I've seen it firsthand, but what a career. And it's really still great to be admired, I would think, right?
Well, you know, when you outlive everybody else, then it helps. So that's probably the only thing. But it is nice. People have been very, very kind. And I get a lot of, hell, I grew up with you. And I say, how old are you? And you say 50. I go, wow.
But you're still here and you're still making a difference. Tell people what you're doing now, Rudy, about Men of Valor, because I know about it. I know the job you've done. I know the work that you and your team have done over there, changing lives, but explain what Men of Valor is to everyone.
Well, it's a faith-based prison ministry. So I go to Riverbend Maximum Security Prison at least 4 times a week. And I meet with guys. We have some Bible studies. We have just meeting. I mentor 4 different guys. And then when they get out, what we're trying to do is change their lives, change their hearts, and give them a different direction. And when they get out, Men of Valor has a campus where they've got housing. They help them find jobs. They teach them how to, work a checkbook and learn to save and all the things, get licenses and all the things that they've missed out on. And then the recidivism rate, in other words, the rate for guys going back into prison is like 10 to 15% only if you make it through Men of Valor. Why otherwise nationwide it's like 70% of guys that are in prison get out. So it's really, really something that, for these last 6 years I've devoted myself to. I've met quite a few guys that said I covered them when we were, covered high school sports. Ask them what happened. They get involved in drugs or anger or something, and there they were. Got to spend time and change their lives. So that's what I do, and I love it.
And you said last year, the golf tournaments come up Monday. We'll talk about that. But about changing lives, Rudy, is you said you've talked to a lot of guys, and they's like 15 seconds of anger changed my life, right? Is that and that's kind of basically what it is.
Well, actually, they say like 5 minutes, which isn't much different. But you get something like, hey, he disrespected me. Well, all of a sudden you took it out with that violent anger. I spend time with guys on death row, literally said that to me, 5 minutes of anger, and look where I am. So, it's part of society. We all get frustrated and angered very quickly. A lot of it is drugs and alcohol. The old line in prison is 98% of the guys are there in some way because of drugs and alcohol, and the other 2% are lying. That's what the story
right.
is. So it's so prevalent in life, the frustration and anger, and these guys have taken it too far.
Rudy, you could easily be on a golf course every single day. I mean, you earn the right and everything. Why is this so important to you? Why do you keep doing this 4 or 5 times a week? Why is it a staple of your life now?
Well, I've realized, when I retired at the age of 70, I said, you got to do something with your life. And I want to devote the end of my life to just making a difference in other people's lives. And the fact that these guys can relate, because they'll, hey, Rudy, we want to talk sports. We talk Titan sports, but then you can relate that to your faith, to your life. And I tell them things, mistakes that I've made. And just the fact that they're like sponges. They've lost everything. You and I, if we have a bad day, we might go take a vacation, buy a new car, do anything we want. They're stuck in a 10 by 10 cell. So they got to find something within inside themselves that gives them hope. And I like it. It's something they expect me to be there. I expect them to be there. And you can't con a con. because he can read you like a book.
That's exactly right. We're talking to Rudy Kalis. Rudy, last year on the golf tournament, we got to golf with Dan Thomas and I, and Zach Tucker got to golf with a man who had back-to-back DUIs, got put in prison. You came and spoke. He did not want to go to the meeting. He did not have time for you. He said you changed his life. He got out and vowed, and I keep up with him, and he vowed to change his life because you spent about 15 minutes with him and changed his life. So I see it working in real time, Rudy, and I know the effect it has on people.
No, you don't even realize that. I didn't know that. You know, you like to think you have. I can feel from them. Like, I'll be there tonight. You know, I'm down here, and we spent some time with some folks down here in Sandestin. I'm driving to the airport. Scott's driving me to the airport of Panama City so I could get back, and because I have to be at the prison tonight at 6 o'clock because we've got another meeting then. So I just love it. It holds me accountable, but I make it a two-way street. I said, I think it's hopefully made me a better husband because I'm determined to live up to what I tell these guys to live up to. So it works both ways.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking to the great Rudy Kalis right now. Rudy, the golf tournament is Monday at Hermitage Golf Course. Is it sold out? Can people still try to get in if they need to?
Yeah, we've got a few more teams if guys want to. Just go to, if you go to movministry.com, and Men of Valor, movministry.com. The minute you click on that page, it'll say, hey, you want to play golf? And that's where you can register. You know, Vince Gill has been kind. He'll be back. Jeff Fisher said he'll be there. Be some other Titans. Brad Hopkins said he'll play. Chris Sanders, you're going to be there, and I thank you for that. So it's wonderful. So some good friends, and get a chance to play with them. We're at the Hermitage Golf Course at 9 o'clock next Monday morning.
Absolutely. We're talking to Rudy Kalis. We had a discussion last week about TV times dictating sporting events in these days. And we talked about Memorial Gym, how now you see the crowd, nobody's there. But we remember a time, Rudy, even when Vanderbilt wasn't a top 10 basketball program, Memorial Gym was packed and it was loud. We remember those days, right?
Yeah. Way back in 1978, I did the play-by-play for Vanderbilt basketball. And there was one game, I think they played Kentucky, where the gym was full. And I even said, they're hanging from the rafters. And I got a call from the police department that, wait a minute, we're over code. Got too many people in this place. But that was the way it was. It was Memorial magic. People loved it. I think it's kind of the way they've played lately. But it's such a unique gym. I think it's fabulous. And I know you do too.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things that people would find it hard to believe that have moved here. It's like there was a time when Vanderbilt basketball was the game in town. I mean, that's what you couldn't get tickets to those events because that was kind of the big thing going on. I know the Predators and Titans have shown up, but there was a time when that was packed. Murphy Center was packed. I mean, all these places, and I would love, Rudy, to get, I'm not sure we ever get back there, but man, I sure would love if we got back to at least the gym, 75% full.
You know, I think some of it is the times. We have so many outlets, so many things you can watch on TV. You can pull up a 55-inch TV screen and watch the game and not go there. So I think, again, and there's so many different outlets. We've got soccer now, so many different places to go that the fans' budget is maybe stretched. But I would hope, I like your idea, 75% would still be great.
That would be good. Do you ever go to any of the SEC media days back in the day in Birmingham?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We used to go. That was a big deal. Way back in the 70s, they had the old Skyriders tour, flying an airplane. They put on all the writers, us media guys, and fly them from team to team. Wow. And that was a hoot.
Oh, I'd pass. I'm not getting those small planes. I'm not doing that and all that. But that's
just be a big one. It'd be a big plane.
Oh, okay.
You know?
You know,
a lot of adult beverages on those planes. That was a shame. By the time you landed, the questions were strange.
Oh, I'm sure they were. You know, it's funny, Rudy. The question I probably get asked more than anything else is about you and the helicopter on Friday nights. I don't think that's ever going to be topped, Rudy.
Well, no, you know, some people didn't want to get up in it, but for me, it was the most enjoyable thing I do. This morning, speaking to some people, a nice group here at Farmers Co-op, that they asked me about the flying in the helicopter. That's the most enjoyable thing out of everything. I love Titans. I love Predators. I love covering balls, bandy, but flying in that helicopter to these little towns. Landed in Red Boiling Springs one night. They had lost 55 games in a row, and we thought we'd give them a little love. And you got to pump sunlight back into Red Boiling Springs. And this old boy in overalls stuck his finger in my chest. Said it was the biggest thing since Flat and Scruggs had done a concert.
Well, heck yeah, it sure has. I told you one time I was covering a football game at Harpeth High School. They stopped the game, and the PA announcer had everybody wave at you in the helicopter. And I remember looking at the field. Both teams on the field were waving at you. The refs were waving at you as the helicopter flew off. And I was like, the power of Rudy Kalis on a Friday night is unmatched. So I'm sure you got plenty of stories about that.
Well, I do. And there'd be times we'd take off at halftime. And then I'd always tell the pilot, if you don't, hey, just buzz the field. Because it's got a nice rattle to it, makes noise. But then I'd get an email from a band director who was mad because they were trying to play their band, at halftime. And here we are firing down the middle of the field.
Oh, that's fantastic. Rudy, again, thank the world of you. The golf tournament is this Monday at Hermitage Golf Course. What's the website again?
movministry.com. Just go to that site and just click on it. It's the Men of Valor Ministry. I don't know the website. You turn it on, and immediately on the front page, there'll be a click if you'll join us and play some golf.
I love it. And also last year, hearing the testimonies of the lives, the many lives that you have changed and Men of Valor have changed. It's amazing, Rudy. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being a mentor to me. You know, I love you. I think the world of you. And we'll see you next Monday, Rudy.
You're special, Joe. Thanks, pal. Glad you're doing this radio stuff.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Rudy. Rudy Kalis, longtime sportscaster at Channel 4, a guy that's been a great mentor to so many. I know to myself and my good friend Justin Beasley. He's a legend. And, Dr. Crane, there's not going to be any more legends like this because TV has evolved. And so a guy that you grew up watching and everything, those days are gone. And this is nothing at my friends at the local channels. This is the way it's evolved now. I mean, guy was a legend.
Modern day television. It just, like you said, it's a different era.
It is. So, hey, thanks for Rudy. The golf tournament next Monday at Hermitage Golf Course. So I will be out there next Monday. Chase McCabe's going to have to hold down the fort by himself because we've done it now for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't know what Chase looks like anymore.
I was going to grow a beard, but I forgot I can't grow a beard. So he won't.
I don't know what it looks like. I really don't. So he's supposed to come back tomorrow. Chase McCabe is. The people are demanding it. And I'm afraid to go outside because they gather outside and like Chase, and I'm like, he's back. And so I got to tell him something. So
what are the odds that he returns with either a suntan or a sunburn?
0. He's like Casper the Ghost. He stays inside and reads books. He's a bookworm. Big time.
I think he's an outgoing.
Of course he is. All right. Hey, coming up at 10 o'clock, we'll talk more football with former Vanderbilt All-American linebacker Chris Gaines about the evolution of just the defense now from where he played to where it is now and what's the next step in, and trying to cover these offenses and these fast players on the outside. So we'll talk to Chris Gaines. We'll do that then. You are listening to Dr. Crane. Take it.
Yes, you're listening to me talk about the Game Summer Ticket Tour that is now back. Join our very own Joe Dubin, who's on the air right now. Yes, there we go. At Yazoo Brewing Company at 900 River Bluff Drive in Madison, Tennessee, this Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. as he gives away tickets to upcoming concerts in Nashville, including Def Leppard, Bush, Train, Dierks Bentley, and many more. Also, get signed up for the grand prize ticket to Preds home games, Sounds games, and the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/tour.
All right, welcome back to the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Anytime you can play Dwight Yoakam, we do. So fantastic. Many thanks to Rudy Kalis for joining me for the show, the big golf event next Monday, Men of Valor Ministry. Go there and see if you want to play and hang out with Rudy and see everything. It's truly an awesome, awesome thing that he's doing and changing lives. If you try to make this world a better place each and every day, man, you are doing something. So that's fantastic. Our question of the day, we'll talk still a lot of sports today, but it's about funeral processions. And a lot of y'all have weighed in about, do you pull over for a funeral procession? Now, this morning on the Rex Rant, Rex and Teron Davenport we're talking about this, and Teron said about why do people, he's not from here, why do people in the South pull over when emergency vehicles come flying by? A, it's the law, and kind of B, it's common courtesy to do that. And so we took it a step further about funeral processions. Do you pull over for a funeral procession? It was a simple question, and a lot of you guys weighed in on that as well. Let's see. Callaway in Columbia, 7655, thank you for this, says, I've been that guy that blocked the road due to people not stopping. Born and raised in Middle Tennessee, it's respect. Just like I will stop working. If I'm outside, I take my hat off. Okay, well done. Emily says, I think there's a clear right answer. Family and friends are already grieving. Don't make it worse by getting in the way. It's just so easy to pull over for a moment to allow these folks to stay together and get to the cemetery also together. 615-737-1025. We want to hear from you. I'm just curious about this, about what you do, and if you do pull over for a funeral. Again, Dwight, Kentucky said earlier, yeah, in Philadelphia, they throw batteries at Santa, so they're not going to pull over up there. And I think that's where Teron is from, Philadelphia. But we're talking about down here. Ben says, I only pull over if I did not know the person. If I did know them, I'm at the funeral. That's a great point, Ben, to make right there. 615-737-1025 about what you do. Do you pull over for a funeral procession? Another one here says, it's safe to pull over. I do. I've seen a couple people almost cause wrecks because of that. So thanks for weighing in. And Dr. Crane, you weighed in earlier too, right?
Yes, sir. I'm one of those people that do go off to the side of the road and or just stop where I'm at and turn my radio off and kind of, I think the reason why I turn my radio off is common courtesy and say a little prayer for the family of their lost loved one or the person that, either is now deceased or whatever may happen to that family's situation. But yeah, I turn the radio off, say a little prayer, and go on with my day.
And I told you, I never did until my grandfather's funeral. And all these I'm like, God, at least people know my grandpa. And I started thinking, they have no idea who's in that hearse.
Yeah,
they have no clue. And then so once I did that, look, if you don't do it, I'm not here to judge. I'm just curious why you do, why you don't. So with my grandpa, that was the one of like, all right, these people, don't know him. It's just a huge sign of respect. So,
and I remember they're at my grandfather's funeral probably back in 2014. So about 10 years ago or so. Yeah. Going on 10 to 11 years. When, we put the casket in the hearse, it was just kind of a moment where you step back like, wow, traffic actually, like it was a 2-lane road, but all 4 lanes on left and right side both stopped for the hearse to begin the procession to the where they laid my grandfather to rest.
Cemetery?
So, yeah, the cemetery.
There you go.
So yeah, it was a very, very, I guess, cool moment. And a very honorable moment for people to do that.
Well, I've been honked at. I mean, I have been just honked at and yelled at for doing it, which I don't care. Here's something else I do that really drives people crazy. I honk in tunnels.
It's cool.
And I don't care if you get mad or not. I grew up, there's a tunnel off of Thompson Lane over there by
by Krispy Kreme.
By Krispy Kreme. That tunnel, the Woodlawn Cemetery, going to 100 Oaks. I honk every time. I had a guy almost try to fight me. And this, I wrote it in my book. It's a true story.
Yeah.
He tried to fight me because I was honking because it was annoying him. I'm like, that's what I grew up. We can fight. That's fine. But I'm telling you, I do that because I grew up honking in the tunnel.
I grew up in that exact, my parents drove me to school down that direction,
right,
on Thompson Lane. And there would either be some man with a trombone, yeah,
that's right,
playing an instrument, or somebody's honking their horn.
Yeah,
and it's customary. I think it's kind of like a local Nashville thing to do.
So all of us grew up honking in tunnels, and I was under the understanding that a lot of people, even if you're not from here, you had tunnels you honked.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not talking a 6-mile tunnel you honk on, but this over here, we always did it growing up, and so this guy got irritated and blocked me. going toward 100 Oaks. And I pulled over and he goes, dude, you shouldn't be doing that. That's annoying. Get out of the car. I said, all right, I'll get out. I get out of the car and he backed up. I mean, I wasn't mad, but he was a smaller guy. I was just like, here's why I do this. I said, we can still fight if you want. I was just, because I knew he wouldn't fight.
Yeah.
I mean, this was years ago. And then he got back in his car and drove off. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it. But, you know, if you're honking through a tunnel, that's what we did.
It's fun. It's
That's
a
what we
mindless thing.
Don't take my fun. You realize it's taking fun. Don't take my fun away from me.
Right.
Again, it's not a 4-mile tunnel. It's not the one in Gatlinburg. I get that. You're honking the entire. This is a small tunnel in Thompson Lane, and they've expanded that tunnel too because it used to be just 2 lanes. Now it's
3, right?
2 on one side, 2 on the other, with the divider down the middle.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So they kind of remodeled that, but I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of us that when I wrote that story, I wrote it for the paper and put it in my book. I had so many people come back at me in a good way and say, I completely forgot about that. I was my grandpa, my grandmother did that, or my father did that when I was growing up. We all did that.
It strikes a chord with people.
It's nostalgia. When I think about that tunnel now, going through and honking, I'm like, man, I remember that with my grandpa. Oh, we went through there, we'd honk, we'd laugh. That's a great memory that I have because of that moment.
Yeah. I remember countless times my mom would take me in the morning on the right side of the tunnel. My grandparents picked me up on the left side of the tunnel.
Playing the trombone.
Yeah.
Let's read a few of these right now. Jeff says, yeah, always it's about funerals. Always stop and listen on a freeway, interstate, etc. I understand that, but I'm a true Southerner, and my respect is to the bereaved family for the departed. Thank you for that. West in Clarksville, there's a tunnel over Gatlinburg that have new signs that say no honking now. Take the fun away from us. Tunnel in Gatlinburg says no honking. Well, I'm still going to honk. Lenny, fun people, honking tunnels. It's just great. You throw a non-sports question out there and it goes crazy. So thank you for that. It's Nick, our Dylan says, hey, it's a hearse, not a Hurst. Thank you. I'm guilty
Sorry
of that.
that I can't speak properly.
Is it a Garrison Hurst? I'm sorry, Garrison Hurst. I got that. Scott says, my father-in-law passed away July 3rd. His funeral was in Mount Juliet. We're on the main road for nearly a mile, and every single person pulled over and stopped except one guy who flew by everyone. But we appreciated everyone, and in a small way, it made us feel better. Now, that's fantastic. Thank you, Scott, for that. That's why Mount Juliet, Dixon, these places are fantastic. Brian says, procession on the highway, stay out of the procession, but definitely don't stop or pass using the overtaking lane. That's fine. That is absolutely fine with that, what you want to do. And Hair Metal Henry says, if Buford T. Justice can pull over a funeral in high-speed pursuit, then everyone can pull over. Hair Metal Henry with the one of the day. If Buford T can pull over a funeral in a high-speed pursuit, then everyone else can pull over as well. All right, keep them coming. 615-737-1025. Again, I think we have the greatest audience in sports talk and talk radio. You guys every day. I will take a break when we come back. Chris Gaines, former Vanderbilt All-American linebacker, one of my all-time favorite SEC players, is going to join us. This is the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. All right, welcome into the second hour of the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106 for the game, brought to you by Omni Nashville Hotel. We love our friends at Omni Nashville Hotel. Don't forget Songwriter tonight at Bar Lines, 5:30. It's free. Go down. Great food, great ambiance, great music. Perfect place to go if you're going downtown for happy hour. Bar Lines, 5:30 to 8. Songwriter night, free to the everybody. It comes down there. All right, a week from the day, the Titans report for training camp. It says Tuesday the report, probably Wednesday they have the first practice on the field, 9:15 to 10:30. I remember these practices used to go 3 hours for training camp back when Jeff Fisher was there. They'd go for 2 or 3 hours at a time. There'd be multiple practices, but with the collective bargaining, I think in 2011, they stopped those 2-a-day practices because they were just so tough to do. And back, look, man, for all of us that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, 2-a-days were what, I'm not thinking we're better than anybody else, but man, 2-a-days were awesome. We hated them, but now looking back, 2-a-day practices were the absolute best. They don't do those anymore. And sometimes if you were to college and you had 3, like I played special teams, you'd have morning practice, take a break, then special teams for like an hour, which sucked. And then you have another break and then the afternoon practice and dinner. So you kind of made yourself numb for about 4 or 5 weeks and did all that good stuff. So that's the way it was.
Yeah, I remember those. Morning practice, then the afternoon, and then you had that special teams practice in the midday.
Yeah, good times, right? And all that. And it was just so hot. But it was it was a good time back in the day. It was a lot of fun that was going on. And so I'm trying to contact our next guest.
That's fine. When I was at camp in high school, my senior year with Brian Rector, it was funny. We went off to I think it was Kentucky Wesleyan. It was a school somewhere, but we ended up having no clocks anywhere in the building.
Smart.
And so we all were on our toes. There was one guy, he had a clock on his wrist, a little wristwatch, and we kind of kept time that way. But it was, you miss your time, you miss practice. Boy, oh boy, you were in a problem.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so the Titans start report a week from the day, and then on the field Wednesday, Thursday. First game is at the 10th with San Francisco. So that's right around the corner, man. And then they had the joint practice with the Seahawks, and then on and on. We're good? All right, let's welcome. Yesterday we talked about our favorite players in SEC and who it is. And this guy's one of my top 3 players of all time in SEC football. He was an amazing linebacker, All-American linebacker, Vanderbilt, the great Chris Gaines. He joins us now. Chris, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, Big Joe. Doing great, man. How are you doing?
Good. It's always good to hear from you. And I was thinking yesterday, it's 100 degrees. I remember growing up with you and Brad and everything. Mid-July in the heat, to me, Chris, it always brings back the memories of right before football camp started, at least for me. Do you feel the same?
Absolutely, man. Love it. Love it. Love the memories and love thinking back about those times. Absolutely.
They were such good times. Let me ask you this. All right, All-American linebacker Vanderbilt, with today's offenses, Chris, with the RPOs, how would Chris Gaines adapt to today's offensive football? Because, it's back then it was like run on first down, run on second down, then we're going to pass on third down. And now it's like pass, RPOs. How would you have adapted your game to what it's going on now?
Well, I think I obviously would have had to step up the conditioning. I think that's a big part of it. There's so much more running now and so much more quickness and being on the move and having to recover for the next play. And I think conditioning is extremely important.
Back then, I think people sort of forget this, that played like the job of the defensive lineman is to keep the blockers off of you. And now, it's got guys running everywhere and doing things. You would have to get into pass coverage, right? How much pass coverage did you do at Vanderbilt?
We did quite a bit, but it wasn't, it was more of a run first type thing. Back then, first and second down, a lot of times you were looking at them running the football. Nowadays, they're throwing on every down sometimes. So I think the establishment of the run game has kind of changed, and, therefore defenses are having to adapt.
Yeah, and also, at Vanderbilt, I remember watching a lot of games, a lot of stunting you guys did to get into the backfield and everything. And were you a fan of the attacking, aggressive defense when you played?
I was. I mean, I think you got to have you got to make the offensive line and running backs think about who they're going to have to pick up if somebody blitzes. That's a big part of it. Big part of it is the mental part of the game, having to make adjustments, having to adapt. And I think I really enjoyed that part of it, keeping an offense off guard and us trying to dictate what we want them to do.
We had a long discussion last week, Chris. We're talking to Chris Gaines, former Vanderbilt All-American linebacker, about running the option and the wishbone and why teams that aren't really the strongest have so much success doing that. And my question would have been, why didn't Vanderbilt ever try the wishbone and the triple option? Because it seems like with teams like with Army, Navy, and Georgia Tech and things like that, it had great success. Was it difficult as a linebacker? Because I always thought it was, covering the wishbone and the option, because very rarely do guys stay in their gaps. We always want to make that big play, but you had to be gap responsible in order to stop the option.
Yeah, it's very tough to defend, and you got to be very disciplined. And as a linebacker, especially an inside linebacker, you're playing inside out. So the first thing you got to be aware of and take care of is the first part of the option, and that's handing it off to the fullback. Then it goes to the quarterback, to the pitch man. They can also throw off of it. So it's very difficult to defend. I hated playing against option quarterbacks. And matter of fact, my senior year, that was Tulane and Terrence Jones, and, you know, just a great college quarterback and very difficult to defend. And that game was very
Had 37 tackles in that game.
well. It's because the offense that you just described. I mean, you know, there's a lot of opportunity to make plays, and you know, my game was about the effort and you know, doing everything I could do to get to the ball. And so when somebody's running the option against you, you do have a lot of opportunity to make plays. But you know, I also made a lot of special teams tackles that game. I played every special team while playing every snap on defense. So it was a lot of opportunity.
I remember watching that, and my coach was like, who the hell is number 34? I'm like, I raised my hand. I'm like, yeah, I kind of know that guy. He's pretty good on that. 37 tackles is amazing. In that, I want to ask, what game, you know, there's one game that's heartbreaking, was your last game at Vanderbilt against Tennessee in Knoxville when you guys had a huge lead. But I'll never forget you knocking the crap out of Reggie Cobb on a play. I think there's an iconic photo of you doing that. Is that one of those games that just still burns all these years later?
That's really the only game I think about. I mean, really, because, you know, it was the last game. We lost that dramatic fashion. I think we were up 28-0 going into or 28-3 going into the third quarter, and came back. Tennessee came back and won that game, and it just it tears me up, man. I think about that game when I think about my college career.
Oh, it was amazing. I remember Majors after the game said that was the most impressive defensive performance he'd ever seen from another team, another player talking about you, because literally all over. I'll never forget the game. You're all over the field that day doing that. And I mean, that's great when a coach says that about you, but it also, as you just said, Chris, it still burns because you lost the game.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, Johnny, that's one of my favorite. You know, everybody's got some pictures of when they play college football, but that's one of my favorite pictures. I think the Tennessean snapped a shot of us at midfield after that game, and he's whispering in my ear and saying something very similar to that. So that's a really good memory for me. That, and what I tell you, a bad memory is trying to dodge all those orange golf balls they were throwing at me on the side. Hey, with your helmet off, that's not a good feeling.
Oh, welcome to the SEC in football. We're talking to Vanderbilt All-American linebacker Chris Gaines. Now, I'm curious about it. I've never known this story, but you got recruited by Bear Bryant, correct?
Yes, yeah, and that was actually, that was the two schools I had narrowed it down to, Alabama and Vanderbilt, and I think my dad really wanted me to go to Alabama. Yeah, my recruiting visit was awesome there, and they took us in and we met with Bear Bryant, and this was, I don't know, it had to be just a couple of months before he passed away, and he signed pictures for my dad, and I've still got a great, note that he wrote me, which means a lot to me. He signed it, dated it, and yeah, Alabama and Vanderbilt. I took my official visits to Alabama, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and LSU. And that was the 5 official visits you could have, and all great schools. And I liked certain things about all of them. They all had great coaches. Texas A&M was Jackie Sherrill, and Alabama had Ray Perkins coming in, Johnny Majors, George McIntyre, and then LSU was a great school at that time. Still is.
Yeah. What do you've left? You won a Grey Cup with Toronto. Let me ask you about that real quick. You and John Candy became friends, right? When you played in the Canadian Football League?
Yes. And I'll tell a quick story. So I had announced my retirement in the middle of that season due to this bad ankle that I've had all of my professional career and college. But we were in the Grey Cup parade downtown Toronto. He pulls me aside into a little tavern called James Tavern right there on King Street. Sets me down and says, Chris, we talked for a minute. He said, what do you plan on doing? And I said, well, I love strength and conditioning. That's one of my passions. He said, how would you like to be the first full-time head strength coach in Canadian football history? I said, I would absolutely love it. And he said, you're hired. So, yeah. So he was a great. There was like 4 or 5 of us, Rocket Ismail being one of them, that when John Candy would come into town on the road games, he would call up to our hotel rooms, and about 4 or 5 of us would go to dinner with him. And he was just an amazing person. And what you saw on TV is what you got in person.
Oh, what a story. What a fantastic story with that. Let me ask you this. What do you miss about playing? Well, I talk to guys. I love asking guys this question. For me,
yeah,
I miss the camaraderie in the locker room that you will not get anywhere in life. What do you miss about playing?
That's it, man. The camaraderie, the teamwork, the unity, the football brotherhood. I mean, it's your family. And, the preparation. I miss the preparation, the training in the summer, and just doing everything you can do to be the best player you can be come fall. And, I'll always miss those things. I loved every bit of it. And, it's just something I'll never forget.
Yeah, it was great. Man, this is great. Chris, I think the world of you and your family. I love you guys. Thanks for taking time to do this. Again, you're one of my all-time favorite players in the SEC, and this is an honor, Chris. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you.
All right, Joe. Appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Chris Gaines from Vanderbilt, All-American there with just a great perspective on football and playing linebacker in the SEC. And I love that John Candy story. I knew a little bit about that, but not a lot about that. So that's very cool. All right, we come back, take a break, come back. We'll hear from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. The big talk about football now is the NIL, what he said yesterday. We'll react to that because the NIL is a runaway train. Dr. Crane, do we have anything that you need to read?
Great question, Joe. My computer is off to the side here.
I will just tell. Okay, you want to take it?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Today,
yes,
as always, the Chase the Big Joe Show is brought to you by what, Joe?
Omni Nashville Hotel, the best hotel.
Thank you very much. And the 1025 The Game phone and text line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the entire office is dancing. Welcome back to the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106 through the game, brought to you by Omni Nashville Hotel. Off and running. I think we're back down at the Omni Nashville Hotel on Thursday. That's if Chase ever comes back from sabbatical.
That breakfast.
Yep.
was
I did get a
something else.
text from him earlier that said, hi, and that was it. The location was off. So I don't know if he was taunting me or whatever. I haven't seen him in the last time we saw Chase, he set sail in mid-March. So hopefully he's back tomorrow from this extended vacation that's going on as well. So,
Oh my goodness!
all right, we'll continue to get our
sail.
Yeah, he did out of Priest Lake on the SS something. All right, we reaction still coming in on our text line about funeral processions. Do you pull over? I was just curious, and then somebody weighed into Dr. Crane about he did the tunnel in Thompson Lane, and there was a guy that played the tuba.
Tuba, yes.
Tuba.
I said the trombone, yes. Tuba.
I thought it was a trombone as well, but the tuba, the guy played the tuba over there to do that. See what we remember, man? It's crazy, isn't it? For all
That's
that,
what old Nashville used to be.
that's why I like talking to. I'm an older guy, but I grew up 70s, 80s, so that was kind of and 90s my football SEC stuff. So talking to a guy like Chris Gaines is I'm just fascinated. I mean, he had 37 tackles in a game.
It's impressive.
And when I was at Sanford, we played a team that had played Tulane. We watched that tape, and I'll never forget that coach. Like, look, what is 34? He's on rockets. 37 tackles. It's amazing. Yeah, you get 5 tackles. You get NFL player gets 7 tackles. We're like, oh, great, 37. That either shows you're really good, or some of the guys around you aren't, but doing their job. Anyway.
Covering the whole field.
He basically is. Okay, the big talk about SEC football now, and of course college football, is NIL, the landscape, what's going on. It is a wild, wild west. And Greg Sankey spoke, I don't know if this is the clip or not, about getting the government involved. Anytime you get the government involved, it's a complete disaster. So I'm not sure what he's trying to do here. I get them to regulate something. I know they stay out of it. I'm not sure but this is Greg Sankey yesterday at SEC Media Days talking about litigation and NIL.
In all seriousness, Greg, there's a lot of litigation going on right now. What is the next critical hurdle in this process that we're going through to try to right the ship in terms of the future of college football? Because so many people say to me, why don't they? I get that question 100 times a day, but they don't understand that there's litigation. There's a process that we have to try to go through to implement some of these things in the future. And I think people just think we can just go fix this however we want, and we really can't. So what's the next critical step?
So let me, you said it right. Like people say, well, why don't they? And the way I say it is people say to me, well, if you adjust, and you fill in the blank, if you adjust, change this, change that, then all the problems short. These are not like linear issues. These are not singular issues. There's a lot on the table. The next issue is to work through the terms of a long-form agreement around a legal settlement. So that legal settlement was announced May 23rd, and that's kind of a short set of terms, the basic parameters. And we're trying to accelerate what could have been decades of change into a matter of weeks or months. And so that's where the focus. And then when you get to the other side of that, people will figure out, well, even though we've told you this won't solve everything, this provides clarity around many of the elements we're dealing with, or many of the issues we're dealing with, and then we have to implement that. And that will be another level of stress. At the same time that's happening, it's not just courts where we have issues to deal with from litigation. We have state legislation, we have conversation with Congress. You've made some of those trips with me in the past. We have conference rules, and so what we've done as a league is set up a set of working groups to deal with implementation, to deal with oversight, to deal with congressional activity at the federal level, but also deal with conference rules and the state laws with a lot of intent between now and next year at this time to figure out even better solutions.
All right. So with that nearly 2-minute clip, we're not talking about on the field football. We're talking about stuff outside the game of football, which I hate. I hate that it's come to this. We're not talking about whether or not Ole Miss gets 9 wins or Tennessee can get 11. We're talking about litigation. The commissioner's spending his time on litigation, and he's not sure where this is going to end or where it comes from. You all started it. You're all guilty for this. All of you guys are guilty. All right. It's just the way it drives me crazy. I get it. These guys should be paid. I understand it. Trust me, I understand it 100%. But man, we're not talking football anymore. We're talking off this field stuff. It drives me crazy, Dr. Crane.
And there was something he also mentioned yesterday in the multiple, interviews he had. Someone asked him about what's the tiebreak situation because of the 16-team conference now. Like, you get rid of the divisions. Like, what are you going to do for that? He goes, well, we're still trying to figure that out.
No, he didn't say that. Did he say that?
That's like on the back burner.
Would that not be already done now?
I'm paraphrasing.
I get what you're saying, but that should already be set in stone.
So that just goes to show you how much is on his plate. And I even mentioned yesterday, like if Greg Sankey goes out and says something like that, I'm not too concerned about it because I feel like that's something easily that can be resolved.
Right.
But as for other stuff that is litigation purposes, as they're mentioning there, yeah, focus on that. Then worry about your tie break.
Well, focus on your conference because his big thing was like in the NCAA basketball tournament, some of these schools like an MTSU shouldn't get in, whereas a 14-13 Vanderbilt team should because they play, a Power 5 and all that other stuff. Even though a team like Miller goes 28-2, so he got burned on that because when Oakland beat Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, that was the first thing people put. Like, had what you wanted to be put in there been in process, been in place, Oakland wouldn't have been there. We wouldn't have had that great. That's what makes a tournament great. That's what makes a basketball tournament or upsets. So first of all, Greg, stick to your conference. Worry about what's inside your own house before peeking out the window for something else. When we're spending all of our time talking about litigation, and where are we going with this? Where are we go? What's it's going to be more and more and more. They're going to have to get a salary cap in there. Then if you regulate that, do you have to have a union? Who's going to be the union? It's just chaos. There's a reason some college coaches are going back to the pros. This whole thing about Mike Vrabel wanting to be maybe watch over Ohio State. Why the hell would you want to go coach college football knowing this landscape now? And even though you haven't been part of it in 15 years or whenever you left Ohio State to go to the NFL, it's a tough job for these guys. And I get it. They make a lot of money. I understand all that as well. But, man, at the end of the day, you're dealing with 18 and 19-year-old kids. That's what it is, man, just dealing with those. All right, we got a call here.
We do. Edward,
what's happening? Welcome to the Chase and Big Joe show, man. How's it going, brother?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing well, man. What you got for us?
Two things. One, I ran into one of the better well-known coaches in a stairwell over at the university. And I was talking to him about the NLI. I also want to make a comment after this about Whit Taylor.
Sure.
And I asked him about the portal, NLI, name, likeness, image. And he said it used to be you could plan, prepare, look down the road. He said all you're doing now is filling a roster.
Oh.
And, it's unfortunate where the NCAA has taken things. It's ruined it, in my opinion. And that's most of the people that I work at a sports type venue. And that's most of the sentiment that you get now. Second thing, I was there in 1982 when a little scrappy quarterback named Whit Taylor took on mighty University of Tennessee and Johnny Majors, and it had been several years since we had knocked them down. But they took them down that day. There were some great players on that team. I think, and you can correct me, Joe, if I'm wrong, but didn't Whit Taylor go on down to Birmingham Stallions, USFL, win a title?
He did not.
And wasn't Alama Matthews played in the NFL? And there was another kid, I think, named Parker on that team.
I'm not sure. Are you talking Carl Parker? I don't think he was on that team yet. He came later. But
okay.
Like Norman Jordan.
Another receiver with Alama Matthews. Who was it?
I can't remember. I know exactly who you were. That was a great team. They beat Tennessee 28-21. No, they lost in the All-American Bowl to Air Force down in Birmingham. And I think Whit Taylor went on to play Arena Bowl. Maybe he won maybe a title in Arena Bowl somewhere. But Whit Taylor was a hell of a quarterback. And that was a fun team to watch. That was a fun Vanderbilt team to watch. They ran the ball. I mean, they sprinted Whit Taylor out. They threw the ball down the field. Watson Brown was a coordinator. That was a fun team to watch in 1982 because it was different. It was exciting. And, yeah, I remember that 28-21 over Tennessee over at Dudley Field. Good times. All right, Edward.
Comment about
Yeah.
the coach and talking about the name, likeness, and image and the portal.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember LSU women this year. There was a blonde-haired girl, and she had transferred from Louisville. You know how much she made, Joe?
100,000.
400,000. $400,000. That was her payday. Isn't that something? I can't get over that. I mean, what are they looking forward to in their career? I mean, anyway, I'll get out off that. But great show, guy. I like listening to you guys. Y'all are good.
All right, you're a good man, Edward. The check is in the mail, brother. Appreciate you. All right, we'll take a break, come back, react to a lot of things that are going on today. And also, there's one sure sign there's nothing going on in the football world. One sure sign that there's nothing happening in sports that we care about right now. I'll tell you that when we come back. Listen to the Chase and Big Joe show right here, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. All right, welcome back to the Chase and Big Joe show 102.5, 106 for the game. Let's just breathe, Dr. Crane. This is the Edge and Mission Impossible theme. It's just, I'm telling you, the Top Gun theme and this one here, I'd run through the wall. Of course, I'd probably break every bone in my body, but the attempt to run through the wall would look good.
Your
Feel good.
adrenaline would just take you through everything.
It is right now. It's just the drum thing. Oh, you get that last half mile, or you did this. We used to run hundreds when I was in college. You had to run
16 110s.
And then they had to be within a second and a half of each other. But you had to run them like 18 seconds, but you couldn't be 20 seconds. They had to be concise. And this song, you turn it up again. There we go. A little background music. I got 2 more to go. You put this on, full sprint, man. We did a thing in college called fifths, where you had 70 seconds, the lineman, to run around the field. Right? So you put that, and you could do it. I could make that run. I can't make it now.
You never know, Joe.
Running backs had 60 seconds to make it. Us big, goofy guys had 70 to make it around you had to do 5 of those. If you didn't make it, you're in trouble. So we always made it.
I think we had like 55 seconds, I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It was around that number as well. It might have been 60 seconds.
When I had gotten kicked out of practice at Sanford for my tussle with Jimbo, they made me do fists on the game field. And so I was furious. I was running and cussing the whole time at the coach. Of course, he couldn't hear me because I was a tough guy.
Right.
But I soon realized I'm out of breath. I got to stop. I got to save my energy. Had I had this music, it'd have been great. Like we talked to Chris Gaines earlier, man, about the camaraderie. You remember the camaraderie?
Yeah.
You remember riding a bus, in high school across town. Nobody think you could win, and you beat the snot out of the other team and come back. And those bus rides back were some of the greatest moments of my life. When you went and won a game and rode back, it's 1,000 degrees. You smell, you stink, but you don't care.
Yeah, I can't agree anymore, Joe. There was one time it was a playoff game. We got absolutely trounced by Baylor. It was bad. I think we lost like 31-7 or something. It was a bad.
Do better.
Well, I'm no longer can play high school football, but okay, continue here. We were driving on the way back. The bus took us back to Father Ryan, and the bus broke down on the side of the interstate in Chattanooga. So that meant the bus had to be turned off. And it was, even though it was in December, it was super cold playoff time. The bus was hot. Sweaty people. We didn't get to take a shower after the game. We put all of our stuff underneath the bus, and we were just sitting there, couldn't do anything. And of course, some of the parents, they got us pizzas, so we were able to eat pizza on the way home. And so, some people ate too much pizza, and someone vomited in the bus that was extremely hot, and it smelled. It was bad, but you know what? It was a memorable moment. And try to forget it sometimes, but it's just a good chuckle with some of my buddies.
Yeah. So you rich private guys got pizza.
You know what, Joe? Enough with the rich private stuff. All right?
We got a slap on the head. Like, good job, boys.
I wanted my Catholic education.
But you did. You went to a nice private school.
Thank you. It's nicer now. It wasn't
not faulting you for that, man.
It wasn't as nice when I was there. It was nice.
You rich private school boys got the world at your fingertips.
All right, Joe.
Us guys inside the tracks, we have to.
This is where I need Chase to just give me a good old choke.
Yeah, he's on your side. He went to FRA. Rich
know.
Boys. No, I love it. We're all one. We're all pushing together to do this. But no, those are some of the greatest memories ever. Do that. We weren't fancy enough on. I didn't play Division I. You don't flying here and there, but it was. Those bus rides were magical. It's not magic. It's magical of all that was discussed. And sometimes you got your butt kicked and had to drive home. Nobody said a word. But the character, and we talk about the Chris Sanders about this all the time, just the character about having to be bigger than yourself and to do things. There's probably 40 guys from high school football I still talk to today. There's maybe college 5 or 6, but you grew up, man. You have the different memories and different things that go on. We all struggled together and we came together as one. So that's why I'm a champion of high school athletics, whether it's football, basketball. I don't care what you play. Just be a part of something. And it makes you better. And just the connections you get throughout life. stay with you throughout life. I mean, you've got those. I mean, you understand guys you still talk to today. You could not talk to a teammate for 10 years. You see him, you pick back up immediately where things happen.
There's one guy that moved out to Hawaii. He actually walked on. He was in the rest. It was a wrestler, and he ended up walking on, I guess, to play football for Hawaii, and played all 4 years. Super nice guy. George is a great guy. He's still out in Hawaii doing something, but sure enough, we make this joke that, you know, he has like 5 kids because he was such a big kid. You know, he's like an adult in high school. Like, man, how are your 5 kids doing? You know, and sure enough, that's always a go-to joke when you talk with a guy like
Beautiful.
that. And you pick right on up like you're talking about.
Yep.
So
I've written about this before about football, and we, you know, in high school football, whatever. But we went to play Dixon County. They were ranked 3rd in the state. We were 5th in the state. There must have been 10, 12,000 people. They beat us. Then after the game, their fans wanted to fight us. It was a magical moment I'll never forget, because I'm hearing cuss words I never heard before. And I'm like talking to my mom after the game, and we got guys chasing fans of It was just this amazing. And we lost the game. But I'll never forget that. It was just a wonderful memory that sticks in my mind forever. Hey, before we go to the break, I want to tell you this is how we know there's no football going on, nothing in sports. Are you going to watch the All-Star game tonight?
Yes, I will.
All of it?
Not all of it. I'll watch probably the first 3 innings.
I might watch because Skeen's pitching.
Yeah, and for the All-Star game, just for a heads up for those that, you know, not big baseball people, Paul Skeens will probably only pitch 1 inning because there's a lot of pitchers on this All-Star team, so they're going to get everybody a good rotation. But
yeah, I don't want to see my starting go-to pitcher go 4 innings in a meaningless, crappy All-Star game.
It used to be different back in the day, like because that game actually had meaning on like who had home field advantage for the World Series.
They're done with that, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Man, I haven't watched an All-Star game in so long. I used to watch them all. I remember 1983, Fred Lynn had a grand slam at Comiskey Park in the All-Star game. We were all so excited about that. But again, I'm an old man. Anyway, I'm looking at ESPN.com, and there's like no mention of like football in their headlines. It's just nothing. Like there's the very bottom was talking about was it the Browns punter that got an extension?
Dustin Hopkins?
The punter?
He's a kicker.
Kicker. Okay.
Place kicker.
Thanks. He's not a butt kicker.
I mean, he could be.
He's a place kicker. Thanks.
That's the proper term. They call it a place kicker.
Okay. I just call it a kicker.
I mean, I'm right there with you.
All right. It's like people had a trouble with tailback and halfback. It's running back.
Yep.
Just a running back.
It's a halfback, Joe.
Just whatever. It's a guy who can't run the ball. Let's not make this difficult.
Hey, let's not forget about fullbacks, all right?
Fullbacks. We love fullbacks.
Thank you.
Converted into H-backs. But
yes.
with the spread offense, very little of the fullback. Who's the greatest fullback of all time?
Mike Allstott.
Oh, that's a good
Would you
one.
consider that a fullback or
oh
hybrid
gosh,
running back?
I think a fullback to me is a guy that gets like 7 carries a game for like 9 yards, but all those are first downs.
You know, I really admired Ahmad Hall when he played for the Titans
He's
back
great.
in the day. I mean, he served for the country, also played football. Like the way you're able to still exercise and have, you know, your head on your shoulders after all that, it's incredible.
I got a great Ahmad Hall story for you. I can't tell it on air. I have to tell it off there. I'll tell for you. And it's fascinating. So, but fullback wise, I mean, Moose Johnston, Matt Suhey for the Bears was fantastic. I mean, just fullbacks like Brad Baxter, who played for the New York Jets, was a great fantasy football player because he'd score 20 touchdowns and have to carry the ball like 25 times a year. That was it. So the great fullbacks. Keep fullbacks alive. Keep fullbacks in your prayers when you do that. All right, we will take a break, come back. We got one more segment. Don't forget tonight, Songwriter Night at Barlines Omni Nashville Hotel starts at 5:30. It is free. Great food, great ambiance. Park down there. Go in, have a great time. Barline Songwriter Night, 5:30 tonight at the Omni Nashville Hotel. This is the Chase and Big Joe Show right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. 5 Points Roofing, 5pointsroofing.com. That's where you need to go. Look, it's pretty right now, and the temperature yesterday was even better. It's a good time to have them come check out your roof because we had some storms in the spring. Maybe all of a sudden you've noticed some leaks. That means you probably got roof trouble. 5pointsroofing.com. Go there, set up an appointment. They will come out and do a free inspection on your home and tell you what you need. And then if they do determine you have storm damage, they'll walk you through the insurance claim process and make it oh so easy for you. 5 Points Roofing, FIVE pointsroofing.com. Spell it out. Go to 5pointsroofing.com today. All right, welcome back to the final segment of the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106 for the game, brought to you by good friends at Omni Nashville Hotel. Great discussion today. We appreciate you guys so much. I tell you this all the time. We have a great listening audience. We really appreciate you guys and gals who listen to us and all the response today. Amazing response on do you stop for a funeral procession? It's fantastic. Just reading, all these, dozens and dozens. Thank you guys for weighing in. All right, it's time for America's favorite segment, America's favorite game show. And what day is it in celebrity birthdays?
All right, today we have Guinea Pig Appreciation Day.
Oh,
That's
okay.
first. I know people in Ecuador love to eat those. I've heard from actual sources.
Where?
Ecuador.
Eat guinea pigs?
Yeah. It's like a delicacy.
Okay.
And just passing that on. National Atomic Veterans Day. That's on there.
Atomic veteran?
Yeah. It says
What-
National Atomic Veterans Day.
What is an atomic veteran?
It's just showing
Somebody
you
that worked on the atomic bomb?
yeah, so it's showing a picture of the atomic bomb, yeah.
Okay, all right.
We also have National Cherry Day, the ones that have the pits in them. Those are very good.
By the way, they prevent gout.
Do they?
For people who don't know, cherries prevent gout.
Well, they're just delicious to just munch on.
They are.
National Corn Fritter Day. Got that.
Can't beat that, pal.
Not at all. National Fresh Spinach Day. There you go.
Pass?
Really?
Spinach?
Give me a bag of spinach. I'll just eat it like popcorn.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
All
Dead
right.
serious. It's awesome. National Personal Chef Day.
I've got two.
Yep, as do I.
Yep, Burger King and Wendy's.
I was going to say relatives, but okay. Rural Transit Day.
Like a rickshaw?
It's just showing a bus in the rural areas of of America.
God bless them.
There you go. And then World Snake Day.
Excuse me, World Snake Day?
Snake Day, yep.
You know, the snake has the worst PR team of all time.
Why is that?
The snake. I mean, you snake. I mean, they need a better PR team.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like snakes are nice things. I mean, they do nice things for people.
Rat snake and all that.
Yeah, they kill like rodents around your house.
Just stay away from me.
Circle of life.
Yeah. All right.
As of that, celebrity birthday.
Have you seen the thing where they attach the fake snake to the golfer and they? It's one of the greatest things on Instagram.
He
And
hits the golf cart.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. Our handsome intern Colin Kadoof is here. What advice did I give you?
Speak loud. Speak loud.
And stand up. There you go. Yeah.
There we go.
We call that chest proud.
Chest proud.
All right, time for celebrity birthdays. You ready, Dr. Crane? You got smoked yesterday. Let's do better today.
8-1. Yikes.
All right, first birthday, actress Phoebe Cates from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. We all remember that scene. Colin, do you know her?
I've seen the movie a couple times. So, yep.
How old is she?
I'm going to say 62.
Okay.
61.
61 exactly. Dr. Crane, you didn't cheat, did you?
No, I have witnesses back here. My computer's not there.
The very funny Will Ferrell. Today's his birthday.
Go 57.
57?
That's what he said.
Oh, 56.
57. Well done. Up
Sorry.
2-1. They're tied
I
2-2.
spaced out there for a second. Sorry about that.
Tied 2-2. Corey Feldman.
He's in the Goonies, right?
He is.
I'm going to go 53.
56.
53 exactly. 4-2. You guys have gotten 3 dead on.
You're worrying about me, Joe? Worry about the intern over here.
So proud of you guys. I don't know who this is. Keep going down. Don't know who this is, but she's beautiful. Let's see here. All right, the drummer for the Police, Stuart Copeland. How old is he?
I'm just going to go 65.
81.
72. Lord of the Dance, Michael Flatley. How old is he?
We'll go 73.
78.
66. Richard Pryor's daughter, Rain Pryor, was in the TV show Head of the Class.
45.
51.
55. So you guys have fallen off there a little bit. NFL coach Jimmy Johnson.
80.
78.
81. Collins up 5-2. NFL running back Barry Sanders. How old is Barry Sanders today?
We'll go 55.
57.
55, 57. It's 56. We call that a push in the industry. So now we'll go to more sports birthdays to do this. You guys are doing great today. At least the intern is. All-American football player, played with Minnesota Vikings, Ron Yeri, one of the best offensive tackles of all time. How old is Ron Yeri?
We'll go 77.
68.
78. 6-2. We're not done yet. We got a little more time for you to come back. Is this the former Titans kicker Gary Anderson, who Derek Mason knows quite well and should probably send him a birthday gift today for beating the Ravens in 2003. Former Titans kicker Gary Anderson.
We'll go 55.
63.
He is, my math together, he is 65 today.
I get it.
That's right.
How about that?
You do get it. 6-3. We're not done yet. We got a little more time here before we get out of here. Let's see here. Don't know who that is. Claude Lemieux, hockey player.
I'll go 67.
Oh, no. He's got to be younger. 39.
59. And one more here if we close it out here. He is from Columbia, Tennessee. Pitcher William Van Landingham. Billy Van Landingham played for the San Francisco Giants. He's from Columbia. How old's Mr. Landingham?
We'll go 57 again.
Landingham. 53.
54. That ends it. Intern wins 6-4. Proud of you, intern. Well done.
Respectable loss for me. All right. The Generals go on to next week.
You're coming back. Well done. Hey, that's our show for today. Many thanks to Rudy Kalis for joining us and for Chris Gaines as well. Talk a lot of football today. As we leave every show to our guys out there, You're doing a great job. We love you. If you're struggling, look on your cell phone, dial 988. Please talk to someone. If you're going through something, reach out to us, to the men who've reached out to us so far. We love you, and thank God that you reached out. We all walk together in this. As I tell you, God put you on this earth for a unique purpose that only you can fulfill. So if something happened to you, you'd be tremendously missed. Please know that. And please know that we tremendously love you. Have a great day. Willie and D-Mace up next.